So in the 1750s, my man Emanuel Swedenborg dropped his Latin opus Arcana Celestia, which in English would be Secrets of Heaven. And since then, people have translated it a couple times, but right now, the New Century Edition is doing this killer fresh translation of it, and Volume 3 is about to come out, and I got an advanced copy of that bad boy's first chapter. And in it, there is this fascinating treatise on how spirits can cause hallucinations. Much attention is given to the vision of people who claim that they have had many. They actually have seen things, but they were hallucinating. I've been taught about such visions and also shown how they occur. There are spirits who bring up imaginary images of seemingly real objects, like those seen in shadow or by moonlight, or even by daylight out of the corner of one's eye. Then, the spirits focus the person's mind without pause or let-up on the thought of some object, whether it is an animal, a freak of nature, a forest, or something else. As long as the person's mind is fixed on this thought, the hallucination grows and develops until she or he becomes convinced. The person sees the object as absolutely real when in fact it is nothing but an illusion. These visions afflict people who overindulge in fantasy to the point of mental illness, and as a result are easily duped. I've never had a hallucination, but I've definitely had my mind fixated on things that weren't real. Fears about what's going to happen to me, or discontent with the way that things are, or some kind of total misconception about the way reality works, or I have the wrong picture of who somebody is. And you can, by ruminating and going over and over that in your mind, absolutely fall into this state where I think that's real. It looks real to me, and I act based on it, and it kind of becomes my reality. So even though I'm not seeing things, I can be aware of the influence of the spiritual world on my own mind and try not to get too wrapped up in that stuff. It can be even more intense around religious stuff. Fanatical spirits are similar, but their visions center on religious belief. They themselves are so firmly convinced of their beliefs and work so hard to persuade others that they are capable of swearing to the truth of a falsehood or the validity of a delusion. You think Swedenborg's all about religious stuff? Doesn't he write all the time about Bible and Christianity and all kinds of spiritual things? But you can't get too sure about anything. You cannot grab onto your pet idea and say, I know that this is true, and I'm going to force you to believe it, and I'm never going to listen to any arguments about it. I'm never going to examine this thing, because that leads to this fanaticism where you can get so locked in on something that isn't true because we don't know for sure what's true or not. So probably some of the stuff you're really convicted about is true, but you gotta have your hand not all the way clenched on it, because there's this influence from the spiritual world that's trying to pull you into this religious fanaticism. Don't we see some religious fanaticism in the world? So I'm a trafficker in religious ideas, obviously, or spiritual ideas, whatever you want to call it. I'm here on YouTube talking about that stuff. I got to check myself and make sure I don't get too nuts about any one thing, and be willing to continue to examine things and refine my understanding and the humility you need to do that. Hey, do you want to keep reading in that section? Do you want to learn more about visions and dreams and hallucinations? Do you want this whole chapter? Okay, you can have it. Just click the link in the description and we'll email it to you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got a nice clear mind for the rest of the day.